Oh, God of mercy. See, guys, honestly, if you don't want black people to come for you, mind your business. If you don't want black people to come for you, mind your business. Now, how will a Latina, I hope I'm right, or is that an Asian woman? A Latina woman. How will a Latina woman come with a full chest to say we and them are black? We are the same people. There is a difference between people of color and black Americans. I don't want to hear your definitions. I don't care. We are not one. If we are one, when black Americans wanted people to come out for them, Latinos would have come out. Have it at the back of your mind that Latinos are now saying that they are one because right now black Americans decided that they are no longer doing it. They are no longer patronizing them. They are no longer going to do as if they are the Alpha and the Omega. That is it. Just have it at the back of your mind that the moment black Americans decide to sit out, a lot of people now realize that, oh, we are one. Oh, we are one. Anyways, let me just keep quiet. Enjoy this clip, and credits belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. And yeah, with that being said, let's go roll out the clip. I'll be back with commentaries.
Schooled you on those election poll results, so now I know you're just being willfully ignorant. But let me go ahead and school you on some black and brown history. And we'll go ahead and start with your people, the Haitians. See, the indigenous people of those islands, you know, the people that you now call Hispanics and Latinos, they lost 90% of their people due to genocide. And those that were left, they actually helped African people escape to the mountains. Because African people weren't from these lands, so they didn't know how to navigate them. They didn't know what foods they could eat, because they didn't know what plants were poisonous and what weren't. They didn't know what animals were dangerous and what weren't. So it was through the guidance of indigenous people that helped bring Africans to safety in the mountains. And those indigenous people that were left stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder with Africans as they fought and won the Haitian Revolution. We can fast forward to the Mexican War of Independence, where a man by the name of Vicente Guerrero, who was both African and native, built a strong black and brown coalition to fight against the Spaniards and abolish slavery in Mexico. We can talk about the Underground Railroad to the north, to the Caribbean, and to Mexico, where indigenous people played a crucial role in helping enslaved Africans navigate through the lands to find freedom and safety. In New Orleans, every year during Mardi Gras, the Mardi Gras Indians actually celebrate indigenous people for what they did in helping them escape slavery and fight colonizers and hiding them in the swamps to protect them. You want to talk about the Alamo and how Mexicans destroyed those white Anglo-Saxons because they wanted to keep slavery in Texas, and they freed the enslaved African people that were held up in the Alamo? We could talk about the Mexican-American War that was fought because of slavery. And when the United States illegally stole more indigenous lands, they had a serious fucking problem on their hands, because now they had a bunch of freed indigenous and African people that they didn't know how to re-enslave, which sparked the debates on slavery in the Southeast, which then lit the fire to the Civil War and helped abolish slavery in the United States. See those brown Latinos, those indigenous people, all throughout the Americas, have consistently lost lands and laid their lives on the line to stand side by side with black people. And black people did the same for us. Now we can fast forward to modern times, like the Watts riots and the Rodney King protests and the BLM movement, where brown people came out in mass to support black people when it came to police brutality. And black people have done the same for us. The 1965 Civil Rights Movement showed how black and brown unity was so strong that they had to create an entire organization to dismantle groups like the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, AIM, the Young Lords, and the Rainbow Coalition, because we were that motherfucking powerful together. And during those George Floyd protests and the BLM movement, organizations like the Brown Berets stepped up in certain cities to actually organize BLM marches and protests and rallies. So that way black people didn't have to do the behind-the-scenes work to organize such events, and were able to uplift black voices. See, black and brown unity is holistic, because we've been fighting the same struggles for 500 years. So this proximity to whiteness that you claim we have, we don't have, because we live under the same racist, oppressive system where we have no power in, and where we have always been treated less than human. At this point, I'm beginning to think you're nothing but a fucking agent, causing division on purpose. Either that, or you're just xenophobic and anti-native as fuck. And everybody is seeing how performative you are in your activism. And this is how I know you've never been boots on the ground. Because if you had, you would see how black and brown unity and solidarity has always been a thing out in them streets. So maybe stop being performative on TikTok and actually get out in them fucking streets and stand up for something.
The Latino and black communities have always been like this.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. See, you be watching these movies. Too much Sesame Street. Too much Big Bird. Okay, too much of them two cats. That's like Total Live and Total Dumb on Sesame Street. No, y'all watch too much cartoons. That's not true. I'm sorry. Holistically, the Hispanic community and the black community has not been like this. It's not as tight as you think. That's just the truth. Maybe to Hispanic people that might be the case, but that is not to black people holistically. It is what it is. And if you want any proof of that, look at the most recent election results. November 5th,
for fuck's sake.
2024, to be exact. That tells you right there that we're not as unified as you think we are, or as most of your people think we are. I wish that's something that we can get fixed. I wish that's something that can be, progressed in this and the third in the future. Because I believe there is, a chance of that happening. But as it stands right now, no, it's not. No, it's not. Most Hispanics want that proximity to whiteness real bad. So no. Respectfully, no. No.
Now, Genty, I've already schooled you on those election poll results, so now I know you're just being willfully ignorant. But let me go ahead and school you on some black and brown history.
I was gonna leave your ass alone, but since you blocked me, I'm about to be bad. First of all, what fucking accent is that? I'm real confused, sweetheart, because I hear us, but I don't see us, okay? Second, how you gonna school somebody on their own race? That's a bit racist over there. That's a bit racy. And third, you don't see no black folks making videos about how we need to be unified. You want to know why? Because we don't want to be fucking unified with y'all. Why are y'all not getting that shit? We are minding our black business, which means staying out of everybody else's shit and focusing on us. It is sad that y'all cannot understand or grasp that concept that we don't give a fuck about what y'all doing. Y'all need to worry about yours. You fucked up the vote. Whether how you want to split it, how many hairs, how many percentages, we know how we voted. We watched how y'all voted. We watched y'all on this damn internet say y'all was voting for him. We watched y'all celebrate him being in office. Now all of a sudden y'all trying to get us together because black and brown people need to be unified. Bitch, unify with your own goddamn people. Okay?
Unity is beneficial to all communities, which you would have noticed if...
So you would know how I stand if you knew about my work. You're right. We won't do any revisionist history. So I'm going to cede this point to you. Yes, it is beneficial for the black community and the Latino community to be together. But while I'm giving you that point, I'm going to take two away. Why? Not all. But why did some people within the Latino community hold Vice President Harris to a standard they never held Donald Trump to? It's a simple question. If you tell me that in your life, you have never heard from your family, your friends, your loved ones, people within your community, any anti-blackness, I have to believe you. I got no choice. Do you remember that Mexican man that sat in that car after Trump was elected and talked about how the Mexican community doesn't need black folks because we don't know how to organize amongst our own? Remember that? Now, is that indicative of all Mexican or Latino people? Nope. But you did see him, right? You did see the Mexican woman a couple of weeks ago who was talking shit about black women, right? You did see that, right? You should go over to YouTube and type in Reese Waters. He has a video that he did about 10 hours ago where he talked about now how Cuban Americans are now in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. The same Cuban Americans who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. Now the Cuban Americans are in the crosshairs. Venezuelans, El Salvadorans, Guatemalans, we know Mexicans. They're all in the crosshairs, right? You want to tell me that there is no anti-blackness in that? While you're watching that video, there is a Cuban man on TikTok, Cuban man, Cuban woman, who had the nerve to spread more bullshit about Vice President Harris, which had been debunked. But him and his woman felt perfectly happy doing it, right? Right? So are you seeing now a pattern? Of course, like I said, I cede to you. Yes, there was unity between black and brown communities. Notice I said was. Why is that? 92% of black women, 80% of black men voted against putting the guy in office who called Mexicans rapists, murderers, and drug dealers. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, 8% of black women and 20% of black men, and you don't think we don't chin check their ass? You don't think we out here fighting every goddamn day against them Coonesians? Why are you sending so much vitriol towards the black community when there are people within the Latino community who practice anti-blackness? Are you over here? These people, they're right there. Am I asking you to carry the water for the entire Latino community? Absolutely not. But what I am asking you is this. Why are you so hell-bent on checking every black person that talks about the fact that this character issue election happened and we have no allies. Rather than asking yourself, why did those people over there vote for a motherfucker who talked shit about them to their face? See, that's all I'm asking. It's really all I'm asking. That's why I said, who am I talking to? Because while you're over here checking black men and black women, there's Latino men and Latino women on here who are practicing anti-blackness. You want to show unity? Deal with them. The same fucking way. We deal with ours. And by the way, the crux of my video, the one that you sped the fuck up, I hate that shit. This is not what you sounded like over there. Now you sound like somebody totally different. Wonder why that is.
There, Ola is right. The Hispanic community and the black community have always been close. So close that they have a list of slurs for us in y'all's respective languages. How many is it? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, is it? No, it's not that much. Just a couple. Just a couple. I think a couple is enough for us to understand how y'all feel about Le Negros. I'm not saying that's a slur, I'm just saying. Because you fool, I guess Hispanics, whatever. I always say that it's unity, but I never hear that from Afro-Mexicans. See, when I talk to Afro-Mexicans, Afro-Hispanics, they tell me about y'all's incessant racism. They must be lying, bro. And history also must be lying about, the 3,000-4,000 people that you mentioned, African enslaved people you mentioned, that y'all helped to get to Mexico. History says that they went from enslavement in America to a similar type of enslavement in Mexico. Y'all had no hand in, because you didn't have the power to do it. It was the Spanish. But somehow y'all had power to help us escape and keep us there. Y'all must have had a great Mexican army that was able to free slaves, but not free yourselves. Interesting. And of course, slavery was outlawed there in Mexico. No whippings or anything, except it wasn't enforced, right? We were on plantations and shit. It was actually very similar to American slavery, and you treat them like shit. He said that's what I heard. Must be a lie. Also, it must be a lie that we created the immigration policies that allowed y'all to immigrate here free of charge. It didn't help us. We were already here. They wasn't gonna kick us out. You know what I'm saying? Overturning the things that black people put in place. All your little allyship of before, as you call it, was beneficial for you. Helped us get through the four you didn't know. We would have figured it the fuck out. Matter of fact, we brought a lot of crops over here that y'all use today. You're well created this fucking country at the end of the day. We didn't colonize it, but we built it. That's not our fault. It did help y'all. Y'all shit is transactional. And we can clearly see that because what black people are saying is reactionary to what y'all are saying. You have this entire little speech made out ready with that vitriol I can hear in your voice. I don't even like dude, but you talking specifically about black people in general. You decided to have that tone. You and your people have always felt the way that their tone implies. Now, you are ethnically. I don't give a flying fuck. But what I do know is, we don't owe you a goddamn thing, and we've never been unified. Y'all damaged our community. So all the little bits and pieces of the incidents of where we do have a couple units, the fact that you have to pull out those small examples lets me know.
We could just keep it present day. Yeah, let's do that. Because what you're not going to do is pretend like our black asses don't live next to your brown asses every fucking day. Today. I'm not impressed with your recall of historical events. I know the fucking history of solidarity between indigenous people and black people. I know it. It's a strong fucking history. But I'm going to tell you, honey, you're not the only ones with a history with black solidarity. And you know why that is? Because black people show the fuck up. We show up. And these historical events that you've rambled off, those are events of mutual benefit.
Well, hello there. Isn't that y'all's native language? And Nawa? You're right. Spanish isn't your first language, but that's okay because y'all have over 60 languages in your indigenous Mexican culture. And y'all had African slaves before the Europeans got here, didn't you? Aztecs. Actually, about 1,000 to 3,000 years before Europeans stepped foot on this land. Now, it wasn't the same as European slavery. Children were born free. Slavery is still slavery, isn't it? And it is well known that y'all have your specific slurs altered in your dialect of Spanish, because it's not the same as Spain Spanish anymore. Y'all came up with your own slurs. And you said in this video what black people use to call Mexicans and other Hispanics, and you admit that Europeans made those slurs, not black people. And it's funny because y'all have no problem calling us the European English N-word when we asked you to stop. Y'all go crazy. You're right, some of us enslaved black people did escape to the north to Canada, but it wasn't with your indigenous Mexican help. No, y'all preferred to help us get to Mexico, where we were in a different type of slavery, a debt slavery. The majority of black escaped enslaved people in Mexico, which you so proudly helped, while slavery was abolished The debt was so high it was impossible to pay most of the time. At least the Europeans boast about having us in slavery, but you all told the story so that black people would think that you were some type of helpers. When in reality, y'all took us from a burning house and led us right into another one, smaller one. Why? So that we could help you gain your independence. Afro-Mexicans have to fight to be recognized on the census, and it wasn't done until 2020. They've had to beg for civil rights. You're supposed to say gracias after we took time during our civil rights movement to help you with immigration laws that you're now trying to claim. Because just like it doesn't make sense for white people to say there isn't racism when they're not the ones that go through it and experience it, the same applies for y'all. Something that you couldn't do. We built this country and it paved the road for y'all to come in, welcomed you, and y'all walked right through claiming every benefit. And then you rewrite history to act like y'all were some heroes. What have y'all done for us in America? Y'all, you in particular, really the rest of you, when all of this immigration stuff happened, y'all turned on us. Y'all have never been an ally, and you definitely weren't one in Mexico. And you want to say that it's the Spanish that were doing it? Oh no, baby. Look up your history. If indigenous Mexicans had money, they had slaves to work their field. So you take your thick to thin eyebrow and your peace pipe smoking voice and get down off your totem pole and quit talking crazy to African Americans. We owe you nothing.
Oh, good God. Now, one thing is true. Black and brown people cannot be racist. Because in order to be racist, you must have prejudice plus power. And in a system built on white supremacy where black and brown people have no control or power in, we can't be racist because we don't have the power to oppress anybody. Now, black and brown people can definitely be xenophobic. Black and brown people can definitely be bigoted. Black and brown people can definitely be anti-black and anti-native. So just because you're black, it doesn't exempt you from being anti-native or xenophobic. So the only way I see you trying to excuse your xenophobic and your anti-native rhetoric will be to use the same white supremacy talking points white people use when they say they can't be racist. And if that's the case, well, you ain't got a leg to stand on.
Anyways, welcome back, guys. And you guys have literally heard what she said. You guys have literally seen her education, how she's trying to educate the black community, how she's trying to convince us, to make us see reasons why we are the same. A lot of people will be like, why are you saying we? You are not black Americans, you are African. I don't care. I have a black American mom and I have a black American dad, just for context. So you should know that I am a black American with a test of Africa. But anyways, don't mind me, I was just joking, right? Let's just get right straight into this particular video. So let's talk about Latino, right? Let's define them differently, right? Latinos, they are an ethnicity. People from Latin America can be of any race, black, white, indigenous, and mixed. Why black American? They are specifically a racial group, people of African descendants, people that are indigenous to the land of America. Now let's talk about their geographical regions, where Latinos come from countries in Latin Americans like Mexico, Brazil, and Colombia. While black Americans, primarily descendants of Africans brought into the US during slavery, and also an indigenous part of black Americans who are now known as foundational black Americans. Let's talk about the language. Latinos often speak Spanish or Portuguese, plus a bit of English, while black Americans primarily speak English with unique dialects like African American vernacular English. Now let's talk about cultural background. For Latinos, culture influenced by indigenous Spanish, Portuguese, and African roots. Now for black American, culture shaped, there is a difference, by African heritage and US history, like slavery, segregation, civil rights movements, redlining, etc. Let's talk about the historical experience in the US. Latinos, many are immigrants or children of immigrants, Why Black Americans have a long history in the US tied to slavery, system racism. Let's now talk about the identity labels, where Latinos, many identify as Hispanics, Latinos, Latina, or Latins, while Black Americans may identify as African American or simply Black or foundational Black Americans, as they now call themselves. Now let's talk about the racial diversity, where Latinos can be Black, white, indigenous, or mixed, or Afro-Latino exists, while Black Americans generally identify as Black/African descendants. Let's talk about food. They want us to be the same, right? I'm coming. Latino food like tacos, rice and beans, plantain varies by each of their countries or different countries, right? While Black Americans soul food in general, like fries, chicken, collapse greens, cornbread, etc. Let's talk about music and acts. I hope people are following me. For Latinos, we have genres like reggaetons, salsa, and bachata. For Black Americans, we have genres like hip hop, rap, jazz, blues, R&B. It's just a whole lot. Now let's talk about their immigration versus their ancestral native, which is the last one, right? Where Latinos often have recent immigration story, but Black Americans often trace ancestral Black centuries in the US, not by choice, but due to slavery. Now let's take some important notes, which is overlapped, where some people are both Latino and Black, which is Afro-Latinos, while we have identity is complex and personal. If you check all of these things that I've been able to read out for you guys during my research, these are just few. These are just small. These are just a tip of an iceberg of Latino and Black Americans differentiates, right? So for she to come out and wanting to school Black American, wanting Black American to understand where she's coming from is a no-no for me. And a lot of them are coming out right now. I will still say this with my full chest, because Black Americans have decided that we are not joining. It is not our battle. It is not our fight. We are not doing this with you. We are on our own right now. Anything we are going to be doing, if it's not concerning Black American, if it's not relating to Black American, we are not. That is why a lot of them are coming out. Right now, you see Asian will come out and say, Black people, we are one. Mexican will come out and say, don't forget that we migrated here together. Latinos will come out and say, there is no difference between Black and people of color. Please, there is difference. The only time now that we're going to be the same is when America as a whole is at peace with itself. But when it comes to you saying there is no difference and you want Black Americans to come out for you for protests, you want Black Americans to show face for you, you want Black Americans to stand with you people, well, when is Black Americans turn, you people you're not going to do that. It's a no-no for me. I hate it when people cheat me in this life. If I'm serving you, I'm making sure that I'm pouring all of my heart and everything just to serve you. I don't like you to bite me behind the scene. I don't like you to remind me what I don't need to be reminded about. So if Black Americans are saying, it's a no-no for us, we are standing on our own, we don't have any business with anybody, accept, take in, and there is nothing anybody can do about it. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section, and credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I really do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Let me know your honest opinion, like I said. And for disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes, not to come here ruffle on anyone's shoulder. Thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys, I love you guys. Mwah.